Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide Jason. Earlier this year, I looked at the practicality of boob armor, and it's not as bad as many claim. But then I did promise to look at the other end of female armor. So, since it's nearing the end of summer, I think it's time to do so. So, is bikini armor actually armor, or is it just schooner bait? And I'll be honest, no, this isn't armor. This is a chainmail or plate bikini. It's swimwear at best, or underwear at the worst. Armor is meant to protect you, and this is often such a small piece of material that it is unlikely to offer any real protection. The chainmail might if someone slashes you and just barely strikes. But most blades are going to be long enough to reach around and still cut you. And plate armor works by redistributing the forces to better locations, and again, this is too small and doesn't reach where it needs to be. So no, bikini armor is not armor. So, is it just fan service, or is there some functional purpose? Well, are there any historical examples of people fighting barely clothed? Oh, and yes, on that front, it's not too uncommon. The first example I want to look at are the gladiator matches. While these were very rarely death matches, they didn't wear full armor. Usually things like a helmet, shoulder guards, and leg guards for armor. But have you heard of the gladiatrices, or more accurately, a female gladiator? And like their male counterparts, they fought topless to nearly naked. In addition, during the Olympics, athletes traditionally competed completely naked in ancient Greece. But you're probably thinking that only men actually competed in those Olympic Games. But there was also the Hierarchian Games for women, a female Olympics. So right there, it would seem that fighting in a bikini would be possible. Not ideal, but at least possible. And there's an issue with both of these. They are entertainment, no different than video games or the lingerie football league. You could argue that it's all fan service. Even the diet of gladiators was crafted to promote bulk and show off bleeding. So, this is basically just Gunnar material too, isn't it? So, is there any example of people fighting scantily clad in battle? And I don't mean because they got caught with their pants down literally. And yes, there is. One a few of you might already know, and it's the Celtic warriors. Now, this isn't universal, but it is recorded in history. In particular, the Battle of Telamon, 225 BC, was recorded by the Greek historian Polybius. A group of Celtic warriors fought the Roman Empire, and one of these groups of Celts was the Gassetae, who fought with their weapons and a smile. Yep, we have historical records of warriors fighting bare butt naked. Yet other Celts had armor, or at least pants. So why did one group fight naked? Well, our wonderful Greek historian gave us a few reasons. 1. Their clothes couldn't get snagged on brambles, thorns, and brambles. 2. Mobility is a reason offered. But this I don't agree with. There's plenty of videos of people doing all sorts of acrobatics while in full plate armor, so bad argument. But an additional reason was intimidation and bravado. This isn't isolated to any one group. We see something similar in Maori culture with the haka war dance. And if you are going into battle and a group is naked, that'll take some massive cojones to do it. I know people who get nervous with just public speaking and try to imagine the crowd is naked to do it. I'd probably die of embarrassment if I had to do a big speech completely naked myself. Of course, there is some cultural stuff going on here. But I guess if you kill all your foes, you wouldn't feel shame about it. And this might play a bit of psychological warfare on your foes. And this will be important, I want you to remember it. So yes, there are examples of people fighting in revealing outfits with a reason. You can argue if it's a good reason, but they are reasons. So female warriors in bikini armor isn't impossible. It's likely not ideal, but it would be possible. But would you want to fight in them? I'll have to ask my female audience, would fighting in a metal bikini be comfortable? Maybe if you are a smaller chest, but likely very uncomfortable if you're bigger in the chest. Would proper armor feel more comfortable? And something that covers a larger surface area? You would think that would make more sense. And in a fight, you want every advantage possible, and having armor is a massive advantage. There is a reason that every culture creates some form of armor, or at least shields. So it doesn't make sense, does it, to fight in a bikini? What do you think is going to happen when a group of bikini armored warriors rush out enemy soldiers? Well, remember when I talked about the intimidation factor of a bunch of naked foes rushing you? Well, here, you'll do one of two things in a fight. Well, the first is actually perfectly portrayed in the anime and manga Naruto, and I'm talking about the sexy jutsu. One where Naruto transforms into a naked girl to shock his foes and momentarily stuns his foe long enough to launch a counterattack. And while it is a gag, it does play a role in the final battle, and there's some history behind it. You may have heard the word kunoichi, or female ninja. It comes from the modern writings of Futaro Yamada's Ninpocho series. In these novels, the kunoichi use seduction to manipulate foes. But there is an issue. And there is no historical context to this. Yes, there are writings about women serving as spies in Japan. It is called the Bansen Shukai from 1676. But it focuses on social positioning, hiding as a servant or as a shrine maiden to gather intel, and not for assassination. And this doesn't really bother me, to be honest. Tell me, what makes a good assassin, a ninja? The one who is a shadow and completes their mission unseen. A good ninja isn't known to exist. So, if there are really any good kunoichi, they wouldn't ever be known. But there was one who was known. But not a ninja. Back in World War I, there was a French spy named Mata Hari, who was potentially the original femme fatale. She used erotic performances and other means to manipulate foes on both sides of the war, and then got put to death for it. Now, back during the coup, there was a little trend that popped up on social media, like TikTok. Women would walk up naked in front of their husbands or boyfriends and record his reaction. And what do you think most men did? Well, they were stunned. And this is actually a practical use for bikini armor. When a man is aroused, his reaction time will reduce about the same as if he had had a strong drink. And that is the second one, which is to slow and disrupt reaction times. And can any of the guys tell me this wouldn't mess you up? A woman comes charging at you in a bikini. Can you tell me that you wouldn't be momentarily stunned, distracted, and slowed? Yeah, I know I would. And it looks like there's plenty of history backing up women using such methods to win control on the battlefield. But there's another part of this weakness. It doesn't last. It gives you only a few seconds. But most fights aren't that long. They last seconds or minutes. Not hours and days usually. Sure, a battle can go on for hours, but usually not much longer. So it is possible, but most likely not the best option. If you see someone fighting in bikini armor, there are a few possible reasons. Most likely, it is for the reasons I suggested. And if you can stall, you will be better off. The initial surprise will wear off, and your reaction time will likely return to normal. Honestly, this probably isn't worth wearing into battle. You are giving up protection for momentary advantage. And to be honest, that sounds like a wonderful way to get a sword through your gut. And that sounds like a good way to get killed. But there's another option. In most fantasy series, there is magic. And if you have magic, there might be a workaround here. And that is spells like stone flesh or metal flesh. Anything which uses magic to bolster your defenses. If you can weave a spell around your body, which is as good as armor, then why wear armor? Well, there is a massive hole in that. And that is any kind of counter magic to remove it. If that happens, you're basically back to fighting in a bikini. Lastly, let's look at the fan service. Probably the most well-known wearer of the bikini armor is Red Sonja, a female warrior who is tied to Conan the Barbarian. While there is a lore reason that she wears it, let's focus on the fan service itself. Tell me, is she any different than Conan? He's just a big muscle warrior in a loincloth. Okay, in the books, he will wear armor too. But in most of the movies, he's just wearing very little. So how is that any different than Red Sonja? Okay, well, technically, she is wearing twice as much armor and clothing as Conan. Yeah, she does. Now, don't tell me this is just all male power fantasies. There are plenty of female YouTubers who review movies, and we've all heard their comments about how hot Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill are, and they make suggestive comments about it. And we have all that stuff with romance movies and books. Trust me, women are just as bad when it comes to loving fan service. There is just a difference in how they appreciate it. Just compare male strip shows like Thunder Down Under to traditional strip clubs. That's why there's always a shirtless scene of the male hero in every Marvel movie. Always some scene for the female audience to ogle the male characters. and there is nothing wrong with fan service. You don't have to like it, but there's nothing wrong with enjoying it. This is done for entertainment. It's for fun. Life is garbage enough. You got work, school, bills, and everything else pulling you down. It's nice to have a little fun, and having something nice to look at isn't bad. But sometimes it does go overboard, and here's my take on that. Not every series needs to be for everyone. It's fine to have a series which is for some people, and others don't care for. You have a choice to watch or not a series. And you shouldn't get mad at people for enjoying it, or for those who don't care. Oh, and don't tell me that women wouldn't wear this. We've all seen women in bikinis as it is. And in high school, my friend Aaron used to wear chainmail every day to school. And at one point, he started making and selling chainmail bras to the girls. He even used to make a chainmail calendar during college. So what do you think? Do you like bikini armor? It really isn't any different than a male warrior fighting in a loincloth, isn't it? While these revealing outfits may not be practical, they can still be fun. Of course, there's a few series which do make a good use of these skimpy outfits. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next time. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.